You know, a big brother of mine asked me earlier what is one of the main things also that I think is our problem as men. When he says black men, a big issue. And I'm gonna just dive right into the answer. And this is my opinion. I believe one of the biggest issues too is healing. If you think about it, how many men was never taught how to heal? And then another question is, how do you really teach somebody how to heal when you've been shown to hide pain on the inside, hide it deep? Or you may seen so many men turn to the streets. Some are in the penitentiary. A lot of them been dead and gone. You know, when you start talking about that word healing, it's deep. Because I hear young men all the time saying, man, I'm just surviving out here. I know how to survive, man. I know how to have my back out here on these streets, man. I know this, I know that. But do you know healing? You can't really put a time limit on healing because everybody heals different. And I see that pain and that hurt. And I even think about myself, have I been taught how to heal? And that healing, when you think about it, how do it start? You got to hurt before you heal. It's a song. I believe that's Bobby Womack or maybe Bobby Blue Band. One of them got a song called You Got to Hurt Before You Heal. And that healing, it takes time. You got men who will tell you, I don't know how to heal. And you got a woman or maybe married to him and they saying, he just don't open up. He don't express no kind of feelings. And a lot of times, if you caught my video what I did earlier, see, I was kind of explaining some of that from the soul standpoint. But then the emotional part of a man, a little bit different. When you ain't cried out, that's the problem too. We don't cry out enough, man. When you ain't cried out, it's eating you up on the inside. Think about what I'm saying. A lot of men, they don't know how to heal. They ain't been taught how to heal. So how you expect them to heal on your time? If you think about it. Now this may not make sense to some folks, but even with women go through that process of, am I gonna forgive this person or not also? And that's another thing I gotta add in with this type of conversation. Forgiveness. That forgiveness, if you don't forgive, that's another thing. It's cutting you up on the inside. In other words, you letting people have the power over you too. Because so many people done went on with their lives. And you still sitting up, man, I ain't gonna forgive. And it's eating and eating and eating at you. But that unforgiveness, this is why I've been talking about the heart so much, about how the Holy Spirit knows the heart. And only the Most High knows the heart. But when you don't know nothing about how to heal, it's a process. And it don't happen overnight. So just think about my little 2 cents in this video. Love y'all. Shalom.